Marriage is sex work? Oh, no. All right, listen to what this woman says here, recently going viral over the weekend. Where's the clip? You guys know how I feel about marriage, and you guys know how I talk about the realities of marriage, the all men pay philosophy, the you pay on the back end, marriage, married men pay the most to get the least. I've said a lot of these things, right? Well, this woman has an interesting take here. Marriage is sex work. Let's hear the pros and cons to this argument.
Activities where I'm being paid.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really interesting about this conversation I was having regarding prostitution was this came off the back of me saying that the thing people don't want to recognize is, and this is going to be very controversial to say, but marriage also is sex work, because a lot of women, what they're doing is, and this is controversial to say, because
I'm going to hear this.
In your definition where you said earlier about prostitution, where you know, like, you sleep with a man, you get money, or you hang out with him, you get money. Why I say marriage is prostitution is because what happens is women engage in marriage from a place where, okay, ideally, he's going to take care of you financially, and there's a home for you both to live in. And what you are doing is you're fulfilling a role. So you're going to either be some sort of like homemaker, homekeeper, you're raising and rearing the kids, and you are partnering with him and sleeping with him in the hopes that the trade-off will be that you get validation, love, and activities where I'm being paid. Upkeep. And the man understands and believes that if he continues to fulfill that role for you, then the arrangement works, because marriage is an arrangement. Now, why I say it's prostitution is because whilst it's not necessarily on the surface, you're fucking for a transactional exchange, there's something that you're fucking for.
But then there's the basis of a relationship. I guess the reason why prostitution is because it's just it's sexual, it's nothing but sex. So you get the sex, you go. Whereas a marriage, to even get to the marriage, there would have been a build of a relationship, friendship, gone through a few things, families involved. Maybe you might even have kids now. So I think that's why that would be the
people
difference.
Wouldn't understand that. And why I'm fascinated by that is because what people really miss out on in that conversation and in their opposition to the idea of marriage being a form of sex work is once you stop being able to render that service to the man, he leaves you. So, for example, I've seen countless situations where upkeep and the man understands.
Let me stop it right here. I guess there's several clips. Now, I've said something similar to this. Not exactly how she's saying it, but I've said something similar to this. And so while I don't agree with everything she's saying, what she's saying is truthful. In that, once the sex is removed, often you find the relationship done. Hear me out. Now, this is going to lead to, and of course we have some agreements and disagreements. Even the woman said, well, wait a minute, there's more than that. What is the more than that? Meaning that there's a trade-off, there's an agreement, there's an arrangement that says, in order for me to gain access and keep the access, there must be other things done, meaning a building of a family, responsibilities and chores and duties. You will find that once the sex is taken off the table, the marriage is destroyed. Hear me out. Oftentimes, there's something where the sex is negotiated with, meaning that I'm going to wait 90 days. I'm going to wait until the marriage. So the woman knows that the sex is paramount. Thus, in order to sell the relationship, she has to restrict the sex. So she says, we're going to do all of this until I trust you, then I'll give you access. Till I get a commitment, then I give you access. With that, I'm saying the sex is what sells the marriage. Without the sex, there's no marriage. Without the sex or the restriction of sex, the guy doesn't continue to pursue the relationship. In essence, the sex is the glue. It is paramount. There's people that marriages are destroyed once the sex stops. There's men that cheat on their wives if the sex does not continue. Thus, the marriage is over. You see what I mean? So really, what is paramount here? Let's say if you got married and you found out. Let's say if you got married and you found out a married couple has no sex. They've never had sex. What would you say? Would you call that a marriage? You would say no. You would say that's not a marriage. Why? There's no sex. You didn't even, what do they call it? Consummate the marriage. You didn't continue. The sex is falling off. Let's just say, what if another person has a sex with another person? All right. The husband has sex with a 19-year-old jogging girl. The marriage is over. I've been saying this the entire time, that if in fact marriage is not sex work and the other things matter, what about building and relationship and kids? Okay, let's say that you have that. And let's say sex stops at one point. Do you still have a marriage? Ask yourself that. Why would a man continue to pay into that and he's getting no sex? You would eventually say he's not getting something from the marriage. Thus, is the sex what he was paying for? He already got the kids. He got the family. The sex stops, but he continues to pay the bills. Do you have a marriage? Would you call the woman violating the sexual contract? Violating the marriage contract. Is that monogamy still? Or would you tell that man to leave the marriage? Why would you tell him to leave the marriage? Because she's not having sex. Thus, that's what he's paying for. That's what he's paying for. The kids be damned. The house and the rent be damned. The bills be damned. The chores be damned. That doesn't keep the marriage together. It is the sex. So, I've been saying this from the beginning, that it is all pay for play. It is all mahi-mahi. There's a price. You negotiate that. Monogamy is the basis definition of pay for play, because you're basically taking one person and then you're committing to that one person on the basis of support, protection, provision. By the way, if you're providing protection, support, and provision, that's paying. That's paying. So it might sound bad because people say there's more to a marriage than sex, but there's no marriage without sex. So once the sex goes, there goes the marriage. Other than that, you got roommate. And do you want a roommate? Do you want a monogamous roommate? Okay, what about this? If you have a wife and then you pay for sex for another woman, she's going to say you took the marital resources and paid for sex for another woman, therefore you don't have a marriage anymore. Come on, man. I know this sounds rough. But there can be no marriage without sex. It doesn't exist. Therefore, yes, it can be considered sex work. There are some women that know that their man is getting antsy. After 3 days of her turning him down, she's going to do what? Pity sex. She's going to lay on her back and say, hop on, and give you the worst sex of all time. She going to give you the worst dick suck. She going to give you the worst missionary. She going to give you a Carl's Jr. star. All right, come on. I know you're antsy. Hop on. Why? Because she knows you're going to start pouting. She knows you're going to start questioning, what are you paying for? So she lays on her back like motherfucking Double J Jeff Jarrett and lets you pin her to the mat. Shoulders to the mat. Shoulders to the mat. Let you pin her. 1, 2, 3. As soon as you bust that nut, she'll get up, she'll take a piss, and she'll go back to what she was doing. Is that not sex work? Now again, we're trying to work. We're trying to make the connection here. So let's see what we got in terms of agreement and disagreement. All right. I know. This is hard, brothers. I know. This is hard. It says right here, a woman asserts that marriage is sex work, arguing that women enter into marriages with the expectation that men will provide for them financially, which offers stability through a home in this arrangement, and she was right. All marriages are simply just an arrangement. Sometimes it is an arrangement that is what they would call a arrangement that is made by other people and family and so forth, that gives you access to the woman in a monogamous way, right? That's what you're paying for, monogamy. You're providing protection under the idea that she does not share sex with another person. In fact, let me stop right here. Let's say you pay anything, 50%, 60, 70, 100%. You pay anything, and your wife sleeps with another guy for free. She meets a personal trainer. She has sex with Chad at a bar and get her back blown out in the backseat of a Jeep. But you've paid 50% of the bills, 60, 70, 100% of the bills. What would you say? As a man, what would you say? You were like, why am I paying all this when you gave it to him for free? AKA, you were paying for monogamy. That's what you paid for. You provided, protected, and paid and invested into that relationship for monogamous sex. Soon as she did the opposite of that, you said, I'm not getting what I paid for. What? So what is sex again? Sex is the glue. Marriage, pay for play, relationships. The minute that happens, that is the basis for ending the relationship. You would assume that you paid and the other guy got it for free. Huh? So is it wrong to say marriage is sex work? It's not wrong. Do you have to agree with everything she's saying? No, I don't agree with everything she set it up. But on face value, it's true. On face value, it's true. You paid for monogamous sex, the only man to access her, and she did the opposite. She gave somebody access that didn't invest. You would think you were shortchanged. You would want to end it right there. You would be like, wait, why am I continuing to pay the bills? Okay, let me see what the rest of this says here. All right, so she is in essence right. And guys, this is the basis of every male-female dynamic. It's the basis of everything. All right, it says, anybody disagree? In this agreement, in this arrangement, women often fulfill roles of housemaker and caregivers, raising children and managing the household. That's in addition to the monogamy. She further states that you are collaborating with him and sharing a bed with him, believing that this exchange will bring you the affirmation and affection you seek. So as long as I do this, I'm going to get the provision. I'm going to have his children. She also asserts that marriage resembles prostitution, as even though there isn't a direct transactional exchange, that's what gets people right here. It isn't direct. There's still something being exchanged in the relationship. Dude, this is common sense, bro. This is without a doubt a fact. All right. Again, you can disagree with it. I'll be interested if you disagree. All right. And there's some people who disagreed. But this is a fact. The minute this is any way, this agreement isn't kept, the marriage is over. Facts. The minute you stray, it's over. The minute she strays, it's over. The minute she closes her legs for good, it's over. The agreement is not being upheld. All right. So men seem to think that if I pay directly, and what the other woman asserted, which is true, she's like, no, once you pay, the relationship is over. That's a direct. But direct doesn't mean that's the only way you can do it. You can do a lot of things indirectly. You can do a lot of things passively, aggressively. Just because you don't directly do it does not constitute what prostitution is. In fact, if you look up the definition of it, let's see what the meaning is. A person, and particularly a woman, who engages in sexual activity for payment. All right. So you're going to engage in it for payment, for a result. I think I even looked up what payment was. So directly, yes. Let me see here. I think I've done this before where I looked up the definition of payment. All right, the action or process of paying something or of being paid. Installment, premium, settlement, clearance, remittance, deposit, retainer. That doesn't mean exchange for money and moving on. You could pay a retainer. You could put a deposit down and that's payment. Installment. Marriage is an installment payment. Divorce, alimony, child support, installment payments. It doesn't mean to just pay cash and move on. There's a certain variety. Settlement. And somebody says she pays too. She pays too. Everybody pays in sex. All right. Everybody pays. The woman pays it. Let's just say it's direct. Direct payment to the prostitute. She pays short shelf life, ran through, reputation, and so forth and so on. She has to be secretive about it. She can catch an STD. She can be pregnant by her John. She can get killed, raped, robbed. Nothing's free. So there's something on her side too. In fact, in order for her to avoid being killed, raped, robbed, and any of that, she can get into a marriage to avoid that. So now you're not going to choke her out. Hopefully you're not. You're not going to kill her. You're going to keep her reputation in good, kind. She knows who the baby's father is. She pays as well. She just avoids the risk over here. All right, she avoids the risk. She takes the risk and she avoids it. And that's what keeps her from being maimed, harmed, killed, robbed, choked. So that's a payment. That's what she's paying for. That's what she's investing in to not be out here dating. You guys know a lot of people date. A lot of people stop dating because, not because they found the right partner, because they get tired of dating. I'm giving y'all way too much. A lot of people get into relationships, sometimes marriages, maybe for access to sex, but some women get into dating because they get tired. Men, you get into relationships because you run out of money to fucking date. Not because you found the right person. You said, okay, I can make this work. Some women be like, oh, I'm tired of going on dates. Fuck it, I'm going to just commit to the next goofy guy.
And that's you.
All right, he seems nice enough. He seems stable. I'll take him. That's called dating fatigue. You get tired of cold approaching. You get tired of taking women out on dates. You get tired of catching an STI and gonorrhea. You get tired of wearing condoms. Oh, yeah, you get tired of wearing condoms. You want to go raw. You get tired of late nights. You get tired of randoms. Women get tired of getting stood up. They get tired of flaked on. They get tired of getting dressed and putting on makeup. They get tired. That's called dating fatigue. So people give up, and then instead of going their own way, instead of dropping out, they settle. And they settle for security, routine, consistency, predictability, safety, all of that shit. And what do they have to give up? Access to the vagina. Right? So all she has to do is give you access. And then she gets all of these things. This is straight prostitute. Guys, this is indirect version of marriage sex work. And some women settle for that. All right, I know what he gonna do. That's better than being out here catching an STD from Chad. You say the same thing. I know what she gonna do. She'll take a Chili's 4 for $4 instead of a woman wanting me to take her to Mastro's. All right, I can't afford that. She likes Chili's. She seems cool. You settle for it. And she gives up access to sex. Even though you lame in bed, you suck in bed, she puts up with it. You get easy access because she lives there. You put her up, pay 50% of her bills, if not 100%, and she gives you some leg every 3 days. Tell me this ain't sex work. All right, I know. Let's see the disagreements here. That's sex work, bro. Come on, man. You guys want to put... All right, this woman says, I get what she's saying. I don't agree with marriage being sex work, but I do think she's got it right in the sense that marriage is transactional and ultimately a duty. I'll just stop it right there. And she says, oh, I'll stop. And in taking on these duties, there are things expected of a man and there are things expected of a woman, hence where the transaction takes place. And if someone is not upholding their duties, then that's typically when people check out, cheat, or get divorced. If marriage wasn't transactional, people wouldn't divorce. This is easy. And that's a woman saying that, by the way. That's a woman. This is too easy. I know people don't want to think that. That's a woman saying that. But here's the thing. Nobody wants to be called a prostitute. Nobody wants to be called a trick or a John. So what we do is you just don't call it that. You just don't call it that. I don't want to be considered that. I'm not paying directly. I'm not that. I actually like it. She likes me. I'm actually doing it the right way. But I know people don't want to be calling it prostitution. You definitely don't want to be calling it sex work. But even this woman had to say, well, yeah, I have to agree. There's a transaction. There's a duty. Yeah. All right. We just don't want to call it that. All right. Let me see if there's a calling marriage prostitute is like saying a library is a prison. A prison. Sure, there are rules and commitments, but the purpose is entirely different. Marriage is about partnership, love, and mutual growth, not a transaction. Okay. So she's saying marriage is more than sex. That actually goes against what I said because take the sex out. She said marriage is about partnership, love, mutual growth, not a transaction. However, take the money away. I guarantee the honey gonna go away. Marriage is about sex as well. She didn't put that in there. Take the sex away. There goes the marriage. Take the money away. There goes the marriage. How many men have lost a job? You were down bad and the bitch went to run. She closed her legs. No more punani. All right, that's a false comparison as well. Prison versus a library. I don't even know what that means. Listening to married people talk about marriage is like being a backseat driver with only a permit. Okay, does that deny what she said? Again, that doesn't disprove what she said. Here it is, another woman. There's a big part of marriage conversation that is left out, which is why a lot of marriages we see today fail and ultimately warped into a transactional relationship. Marriage used to be rooted in God. God pill. We went to Sky Daddy.
Hey, yo, chill, son. Hey, yo.
All right, so Sky Daddy. All right. We got Sky Daddy involved. All right, so did that disprove the point? She didn't disprove anything. She just said there's a conversation left out and went God pill. Okay. Again, the past was better. It used to be rooted in God. Sky Daddy pill. Sky Daddy pill proves nothing. It doesn't disprove the argument. All right, so here we go. We got another one. This woman says, I agree with her because of people no longer marry for love. Plenty of men say they settled. And the same with women. That's what I said. For a lot of people, it is a business transaction. Marriage is a business transaction. It is done through the state, not God. So I don't think she's wrong. I just think it was a generalized statement and it differs per marriage. All right. So she says it depends on the marriage. It depends on the marriage. All right. So we got another person here. Poor thing never had anyone care about her beyond what's between her legs. And she's also never enjoyed sex, which is why she can't imagine it being more than transactional, sad, emotional pill. So again, we got to see what's happening here. We're going back to stuff that we could clearly see happening, but we just use emotion, Sky Daddy. We start summoning witches and warlocks and emotion that she then goes to poor thing. That's an emotional argument. As they say, we're going to reach for the emotions and say, poor her, she daddy issues and sad. This is an emotional argument. Does this disprove what she said? Oh, she been hurt and she got daddy's issue and nobody cared about her. You see, all emotional, poor thing, cared about her, sad. This is just an emotional this is just an emotional reach. All right, emotional reach. Does this disprove what she said? I'm going to ask again. Does that disprove her point? She just says she just hadn't experienced what I experienced. I experienced love. She ain't experienced it. All right, let's continue here. You guys got to see how people are arguing this. Birds are going to bird. All right, we got definitely a insult there. Birds are going to bird. Did that disprove it? No. Okay, we have a woman. Sex is transactional and marriage is a business arrangement. Keep thinking it's about roses and love if you want to. Facts. There's too many evidences of it being transactional. In fact, what happens when a divorce occurs? What happens? The sex ends, and now you put on the table the money, community property, cash, support, alimony, child support. Soon as the marriage and the sex ends, it's all transactional. Then you start going to small claim court. Then you start suing each other. But it was about love. Once the love was over, it became purely a transaction. That is what the family court exists. And God don't bust it up. Neither do the devil. All right, so it becomes only about the money. Once that ends, and the data shows us that ends. All right. Here we go right here. This is what you call leaning on your own understanding. It says, see what it does. Whenever God is not the center, there's confusion. God pill. You don't understand. You ain't got the mouthpiece. Ain't no evidence to what she said. It's just God pill. Oh, she don't get it. All right, and I'm not saying that because I disagree. But what I'm finding is, where's the disagreement? Where's the disagreement? Where are they proving that it's not true? All they're just exercising is shame, insult, guilt, need to be right, God pill, and then emotional argument. That's it. Whenever you can't disprove it, just reach to God. I'm going to just exercise my God pill. Oh, we got another guy. Girl, bye. Again, no disagreement. There's no disagreement. Where's the disagreement? Girl, bye. And that's obviously a sassy guy. Let me see what else. Last one. All right. And we got a woman here. Don't comment that this is long. Okay. She says, I know. What's interesting to me, though, is that many have said marriage is a business transaction and contract, but at the same time are triggered by an analogy that compares it to the transaction of exchanging the body for money. I'm not taking her position, merely playing the devil's advocate and asking us to look a little beyond the analogy. If a wife were to abstain from giving her husband sex, he would have grounds for a divorce. Whoops. This is a fact. I've already proven this. This is how you argue right here. Not just because she agrees. She's just saying y'all triggered by the comparison. But in fact, if a wife abstains from having sex with the husband, grounds for a divorce, relationship over. And her holding back sex with many men have used, her holding back sex, many men have used to justify infidelity. So there's some resemblance between sex work and this in that case. Although we are the same thing, at the same time, say even a ring doesn't grant a husband the right to have sex without consent from his wife. Whoops. So just because you have a ring, that doesn't mean the man can have sex with the wife. We've heard women say that. Hey, just because you my husband doesn't mean you get to have sex with me. Even though we say that, it is an assumed responsibility in the marriage to sexually offer yourself to your spouse. This is biblical, by the way. And it says in traditional gender roles, it says it is expected that a man will provide financial security and offer protection, and that wife will provide care, potentially grow the family name, which involves sex. All right, it involves it. Nurture the family, put food on the table, and care for home. Bottom line, it is a long-term agreement. Facts. I'm just saying it's facts. If there's no agreement, you don't have a marriage. Leave God out of this shit, please. This is obvious. All right, again, people just don't want to hear. They just don't want to be defined under terms. So I don't agree. I'm not a sex worker. Oh, yes, you are. And you're, by virtue, a trick or a John. That's exactly what you're buying into. Everybody knows this, but they're like, love and God. Nah, let me get to these super chats. Enjoyed this clip. Check me out on the Free Agent Lifestyle channel for the best morning live stream every weekday. And of course, we're back for the evening live streams as well. Check out the times in the featured channels on this channel right here. And also the links are in the description box. I will see you there.
New world order.